Welcome back, and we're still talking about the 2015 elections. This time we'll be looking at the governorship election in Plateau State. As parents prepare for governorship elections slated for February 28th, some candidates under the People's Democratic Party in Plateau State are protesting and calling for the cancellation of the governorship primary election there. And 12 of the 16 governorship aspirants denounced the process. What happened? How is the governorship race on the Plateau? We have with us in the studio this morning the governorship aspirants of the People's Democratic Party in Plateau State, Mr.
Actually, it's Senator Gyang
Senator, yes. That name, I'm trying to get around it.
Pajok. I mean, on the Plateau, you have some of the most beautiful
names. Did he pronounce it well?
Well, it's Gyang Pojok.
Gyang Pojok.
Okay. Welcome to the program.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. Thank you.
Okay. The race, I don't know. I was reading up something yesterday and somebody said, where are the aspirants? Where is the campaign? So many issues.
Well, it's usual that in the course of a contest, especially when you have up to 16 aspirants, that one person has to emerge. And if people behave themselves well in the spirit of sportsmanship, they'll be able to accept the verdict or the mandate that has been extended to 1 out of 16. Added to that is the fact that I am now a candidate of the People's Democratic Party. I'm not an aspirant again. To that extent, what we are trying to do is to reach out to all those who feel otherwise about the outcome. Basically, in the build-up to any election, it is an entire process. People campaign and seek support from the delegates in the clear sense of the word. And at the end of the day, I got over 430 votes in the process. And some got 160, some got 109. And some just didn't score even a single vote. Now, interestingly, you'll discover that those who probably had 7 delegates voting for them, or 2 delegates voting for them, or no delegate at all voting for them, are the ones calling for a cancellation. The implication is that they are not willing to accept the reality of the fact that the delegates did not just decide in their favor. And ordinarily, the whole idea is that it does not mean that they are not popular. It only means that the delegates do not really think that they have anything to deliver as far as the contestation for the governorship of Plateau State is concerned. In other words, the antecedents is also very important, even in the decision-making process. I traversed the length and breadth of the 17 local governments of Plateau State seeking support from delegates. My tour of these local governments was it was even looking more like a rally in terms of the mass support as the build-up to this election got to. Some did not even visit delegates to talk to. Some didn't do anything, and yet they expect magic to occur for them to win elections. They keep complaining about all kinds of things. Even the conduct of the primary was done live and covered live.
So in your opinion, they have nothing to complain about?
Well, the truth of the matter is that they are unwilling to accept the outcome of an election that was freely conducted. Of course, if you score 0 votes, what do you think you'll be complaining about? But the truth, that's the reality. Out of over 600 delegates.
You might have the votes, as you said, the majority of the votes, but what happens to the zoning plan that you have in your party?
The truth of the matter is that, you see, zoning is for convenience. The law of the land, the Constitution of Nigeria, clearly allows for anybody who meets constitutional requirements to contest elections.
Your party.
Let me tell you this.
Okay.
What I want you to have at the back of your mind is that in the course of the contest for this election, all the zones produce aspirants, which means in essence that as far as the situation was on the ground, there were aspirants covering the entire state. And mind you, the constituency that is referred to as the governorship constituency covers the entire state. It's not about zones. And if you're talking about Senate, then you'll be able to talk about zones in the real sense of the word. So when you talk about zoning, zoning is certainly an outcome. When you elect somebody, when he wants to distribute positions, he looks at the zones to ensure balance. If I pick a deputy governor, I will pick from another zone, not to concentrate power in that, at that level. That's what zoning is all about.
Okay.
It is not strictly speaking about the zoning of one position to the detriment of the rest. These are some of the things that we need to take into consideration in the course of understanding what zoning is all about. And I strongly believe that in the principle of equity and justice, I strongly believe that all the zones were equally contesting for this office.
And you didn't think there was anyone that was the favors getting from, because there were issues that the governor wanted to
the truth
person.
about the matter is this. You see, God has made man with an inherent capacity to make choice. And in the course of making a choice, there's bound to be favor. Because if you want to decide out of 16 people to vote, definitely you will favor one person against the other. That's the reality that exists anywhere. In other words, there's no neutrality when choice is about to be made. You will definitely have to pick a position with regards to who to support and who not to support. And that is the essence of election in the real sense of the word, because you're comparing competing candidates and competing policies and competing individuals who you will definitely have to take a decision in favor of one over the other. And that's what an election is all about. So anybody who talks about favor means he's disfavored, which means he could just garner the support of those who ordinarily should be the ones to vote for him.
Okay, let's look at, I'm staying with the issue of zoning here, for instance. I mean, the matter there is that some senatorial zones, I mean, North Central, I mean, Plateau North, Plateau Central, Plateau South, now have produced, some of them have produced and the others have not.
Let me give you a picture. In Plateau State, the Plateau South has produced 2 governors elected. In Plateau Central, they've produced 1 governor elected. In Plateau North, they've produced 1 governor elected. Tell me, where do you start? It means that all the zones have produced a governor. And anybody could be the next governor. And if you are looking at it from the strict understanding of zoning, that means that you cannot clearly just say this is the next zone to produce.
You talked about equity. Now
that's equity if you look at it from that perspective. You know, and
Plateau North has done 8 years.
Yes.
Don't you think it's time for
Plateau Central has done 8 years. Plateau South has also done 8 years. So what then is equity?
8 years, that was before this dispensation.
You see, the truth
of the matter, you see, in governance, it didn't, I mean, the present democratic experience isn't just dropped from the moon. It is a continuation of reality. In fact, the present is a sum total of the past and the living present, in the true sense of the word. So when you begin to talk about who gets what, when and how, it is also a reflection of the reality of the past experience and the current experience. And then when you're looking at the future, what some people are more interested in is who will govern them well. Not just which zone should produce a governor. That is the lame duck approach that has always affected the quality of governance that have been, issued and given to us in this country and even in our states. And people are waking up beyond such reasonings. What we have increasingly, in the course of my campaign, I felt that rather than look at primordial issues, rather than look at all these zonal issues, elections help you to break barriers of geography. They help you to break barriers of ethnicity. They help you to break barriers of religion. Those things that divide us. When you are conducting elections, it is the entire citizens that are involved. And the implication is that when you look at those things that create divisive tendencies and drum them up, what you are doing is that you are thinking that that would be the only favorable strategy of winning support. However, when somebody talk about collectivity, when somebody talk about the fact that we can be greater when we work together, people realize that, look, we must rise above these differences and ensure that we vote the right kind of person into office. And I must tell you that in the course of the conduct of our campaign, we realized that the citizens down there were more concerned about deliverables and about governance in the true sense.
So you are actually okay with the notion that you were handpicked by the governor?
Let me say this. Let me say this. You see, a successful government is concerned about succession. The essence of succession is success in itself. And if I've been party to the successes that have also been recorded in this administration, definitely it behoves on anybody who is taking a decision to look at those who can represent the people well. And if I have done my role sufficiently to attract or compel the nature of attention that led to a decision that came to be in my favor, So be it. That's the reality of life.
The 12 aspirants that have denounced this process, they talked about irregularities and, you know, issues that outright violation of some of the
you see, because you're not there, because you're not there, they will talk about all kinds of violations.
Okay.
They will talk about all kinds of, the process was properly conducted. The INEC reports are there. The PDP committees that were there, including the appeal panel committees were there. They all looked and submitted their reports. So if somebody has lost an election, he will definitely raise all the issues he thinks were not in his favor.
So for you, there was just not one reason that they can be aggrieved.
I want to tell you that there are some people who ordinarily, when they lose elections, they think that's the end of the road for them. And that is not how we look at politics. The truth of the matter is that when citizens decide who they want, what it's necessary for you is that the real essence of your contest is whether you really want to serve the people. And if you are willing to serve the people, the implication is that you must look for whatever ideas you have to add up to those ideas that will lead to the progress of society. Not to continuously hammer on the fact that you lost because something went wrong. For goodness sake, somebody has been a former minister, somebody has been a former governor, all right, from a particular zone, and he's calling for zoning. He has been a governor before, all right? He has been an ambassador, an individual. He has occupied sensitive positions nationally. And in the course of the primary, he got only one delegate voting for him. What do you think he will feel? Is that not a shocker for such a person? Definitely, the person will definitely look for all the justifications in the world and tell the world that this is why he lost, and that something went wrong with the entire system. This is the reality of what is happening to us in our society. People also don't factor God in their entire calculations, because when God decides who governs, all this talk about zoning doesn't even arise, because at the end of the day, you discover is who God wants at a particular time that we as human beings sit back and say, well, we zoned the position. Because at the end of the day, it is the people's ideas and views about who they feel will best.
So you didn't think God could have wanted any of the other aspirants?
I am already a candidate of the party. If God had wanted, somebody else would have been. At this material time, I must tell you.
Let me ask you a question. You talked about succession.
Yes.
Are you one of those who believe that, I mean, as a serving governor, for instance, I could decide to hand over to my brother to continue? Do you believe that should be the
see, we must get to
that
because
point. I think my brother, because I think my brother,
I'm not even a brother to the governor.
I'm just asking a question.
Because these are the stories that even those who lost. Look, listen, these are the stories that even those who lost started to peddle around. They said, I'm his nephew, I am this, I am that. You see, all that as part of the justification as to why they cannot accept losing. And I don't even see them as losers in the real sense, because we're all winners in the true sense of the word. Because the essence of competing is that when the best emerges, you join your hands together to ensure that you deliver on a general mandate. And this is a party matter, for instance. It's an internal party thing. And at the end, our internal party wrangling sometimes get overheated to a point